As the theme tune says, Trews is the news if the news was true. This is some Trews. I'm Russell Brand, host of the Trews. Subscribe here, become a subscriber of the Trews. It's better for everybody. Today we are viewing some Bill O'Reilly rhetoric stroke invective.
Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly, reporting tonight from Southern California. Thanks for watching us.
In which he discusses the phenomena of white privilege. I think Bill says there is no such thing.
Last night on The Factor, Megyn Kelly and I debated the concept of white privilege, whereby some believe that if you are Caucasian, you have inherent advantages in America.
Well, you do. I think that's true. There's probably information on the subject on this bit of paper that I've got. If you are white, you are less likely to be arrested. There you go. That's already an advantage, not being arrested. Research shows that white Americans are less likely to be arrested and jailed, while people of colour make up only 30% of the total population. They're 60% of the US prison population. Now, I'm no mathematician, but that seems like a disadvantage.
Talking Points does not believe in white privilege.
Well, that's the end then. So that's the end of the episode of Trews. We're now taking a different approach to this. We're just going to blindly agree with everything Bill O'Reilly says.
However, there is no question that African Americans have a much harder time succeeding in our society than whites do.
Fucking hell, Bill. It's confusing. There is no such thing as white privilege. However, it is worse to be black. Bill, like, Jesus, I'm getting confused. What's his next point going to be? But they deserve it.
But the primary reason is not skin color, it's education.
Hold on now. Bill, you've done it to me again. You've took me on a journey already I wasn't anticipating going on.
Here are the facts. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the unemployment rate for black Americans is 11.4%. It's just over 5% for whites, 4.5% for Asians. So, do we have Asian privilege in America?
Don't be sarcastic, Bill.
The median income for Asians, close to $69,000 a year. It's $57,000 for whites, $33,000 for blacks. So the question becomes, why? And the answer is found in stable homes and an emphasis on education.
Bill, I've got a bit of information that you've forgotten to use in your otherwise thorough analysis of the racial issues in America. Comprehensive worldwide study stated children growing up in poverty are less likely to do well at school. Now, what it might be, Bill, is that there is white privilege. As a result, a lot of people of colour are growing up in poverty and not doing so well at school. Otherwise, what's your argument for why they're not doing well at school, Bill? Some crazy eugenic racist argument.
88% of Asian Americans graduate from high school, compared to 86% for whites and just 69% for blacks. So there you go. That means 31% of African Americans have little chance to succeed in the free marketplace because they're uneducated. They're high school dropouts.
They're dropouts. They're layabouts. That might be as a result of social conditions that have an economic component that relate to race. According to a 2013 report, educational institutions are a passive agent in perpetuating white privilege. Bill, you've not considered an important fact. The report found that white students are still overrepresented in the nation's 468 elite institutions. Even though many white and minority students are unprepared for college in equal rates, more white students are admitted to universities. That's not immune from the white privilege argument that you're claiming is bogus. The higher education system is more and more complicit as a passive agent in the systematic reproduction of white racial privilege across generations, the Georgetown study noted. Even among equally qualified white African American Hispanic students, these pathways not only separate, but they bring unequal results. Read it, Bill! Why don't you listen? Why don't I get a job on Bill's show, doing the research, and if they go, Bill, you know, in Talking Point, you're planning to do that racist thing. Yes, I'm planning. It's not racist, but what? Well, anyway, we've done some research. Let me look at this. Jew. This is bullcrap. I'm not reading this on air. No!
American children must learn not only academics, but also civil behavior, right from wrong, as well as how to speak properly and how to act respectfully.
When you're lecturing the nation on how to speak correctly, speak correctly.
If African American children do not learn those things, they will likely fail as adults. They will be poor. They will be angry. And they often will be looking to blame someone else.
And also, it seems like you're trying to impose a mindset and social archetype that's acceptable. If you want to do well, you won't go around acting and behaving in a way that's not, well, like me. Be a bit more like me, is what I will say, or be a bit more Asian. Those are your options.
One caveat, the Asian American experience historically has not been nearly as tough as the African American experience.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I'm glad that it's you. There is one caveat. Yes, we didn't enslave Asian Americans. We were prejudiced and bigoted against early Chinese settlers. That's true.
Slavery is unique, and it has harmed black Americans to a degree that is still being felt today. But,
Can't say slavery was bad. But it's this key point.
in order to succeed in our competitive society, every American has to overcome the obstacles they face.
I don't know though, Bill, because what about at the top tier of society when there's a requirement for financial bailouts, then they occur. Fairness and justice, that's the opposite of what he's saying. Fairness and justice, they're always talking about that as being a really important American values, but here Bill contradicts that. No, you play with a card you're dealt, and if you were dealt the slave card, well, I'm afraid that's tough luck.
And here is where the African American leadership in America is failing. Instead of preaching a cultural revolution.
What do he means by cultural revolution in black precincts? You think he means start behaving like white people, don't he? Cultural revolution. Does he? The answer is, if you're not doing well, it's your fault, isn't it? That's what he but I suppose that's the flip side of the American dream. Anyone can be president, anyone can achieve anything, but if you don't, it's your fault. I don't think that's a very good principle for organising a society around. That will necessarily and inevitably lead to inequality and unfairness and friction and tension. And as there are we're seeing more uprisings in Ferguson, and we're seeing police garnering military equipment, to the value of billions of dollars. Local police departments are taking on military equipment. Seems like the direction we're moving in as a planet is how to deal with unrest using authority and aggression rather than dealing with the conditions that lead to it.
The leadership provide excuses for failure. The race hustlers blame white privilege, an unfair society, a terrible country. So the message is, it's not your fault if you abandon your children, if you become a substance abuser, if you are a criminal. No, it's not your fault, it's society's fault.
God, Bill, he's in a particularly bad mood today. He looks pallid, his eyes are all deadened, he's being really spiteful. Listen to this. We're talking about arrests and the disproportionately high black prison population. It says here, people of colour are no more likely to use or sell illegal drugs than whites, but they have much higher rates of arrests. While only 14% of black people use drugs regularly, 37% of those arrested for drugs are black. It seems like at every level that it's skewed against that segment of the population. This trend holds true for children as well. They're more likely to be perceived as guilty. It has an influence on us all, I think, the constant presentation of negative stereotypes. It's influential. If the only time you ever see, for example, Muslims on the TV is there was a terror attack, or normal Muslims at this mosque, however, disavowed. It's always this constant connection, and with black teenagers or whatever, they're constantly bombarded with negative imagery. So when you just see kids hanging out, you make that association in your mind. You've been trained to have that perception, trained to make those connections, and I think that what dear old Bill's doing is neglecting the impact that constant ratcheting up of negativity, whether it's on a legal level or just on the level of perception, has.
Until personal responsibility and a cultural change takes place, millions of African Americans will struggle, and their anger, some of it justified, will seethe. The federal government cannot fix this problem. Only a powerful message of personal responsibility can turn things around.
It's already a powerful message of personal responsibility. That's the whole message of all America. It's your fault, get on with it, no one's going to help you. You know, where is the compassion and love? These are very sort of basic Christian principles. How they managed to align these ideas with Christianity fascinates me. Hey, did you check this out? This is really good. In 2012, an unemployed black woman made headlines for reporting that her resume on Monster.com began to receive interest from employers after she changed her name and race. Yolanda Spivey, an insurance professional, notes that Monster.com's diversity questionnaire section seemed to be hurting her employment options. After Yolanda changed her name to the fictitious Bianca White, she received calls with job offers immediately for better jobs than previously as well. More shocking was that some employers, mostly Caucasian-sounding women, were calling Bianca more than once, desperate to get an interview with this Bianca White. She's hot right now. All along, my realmonster.com account was open and active, but despite having the same background, received no calls and no offers. That's really good, isn't it? I'm Bianca White. Bianca White? You'll be welcome at the... Oh, hello, Bianca. Get me the people in HR.
That is the big lie that is keeping some African Americans from reaching their full potential.
Anyway, Bill, you can't just go on telly and say that there isn't such a thing as racism. That's mad. Stop it, you loony. As we've said before, Fox News combs out all context except for information that's convenient to them to hold together the status quo. I'm not suggesting it's done as a result of memos or direct communication, but nonetheless the result is the same. Fox News, fantastic tool of the state. This is the Trews. Subscribe here, subscribe here.
Is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the news. If the news was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.